just because a video is well edited and has lots of shots of a nice cute kid and really melodramatic music and stuff, and it makes you feel good by telling you to do something, doesn't mean that it's a good thing. First of all, please let me state, I absolutely am against children being abused in any way, shape or form, and child soldiers are a disgusting thing. But I'm also against people twisting sentiment and tugging heartstrings for their own personal gain. In these times that we're living in, we become very doubtful whether people care for each other and whether people love each other. And, it's really refreshing to see that everybody cares. And even if we lack information, we mean well. But it's very important, no matter what your intentions are, to learn to actually do your research before you jump on a bandwagon. This video has been released, and it's about, this guy, and, it's really well edited. We've got a cute kid talking all the way throughout it, and there are many things that are suspect about it. And before you start calling me a conspiracy theorist or calling me names or saying I have a chip on my shoulder or whatever you have to say, please hear me out. This guy supposedly has been doing these things for close to 30 years now, and only recently does it become so important that we have such a big elaborate campaign which is basically indirectly asking for Uganda to be invaded. Now, I don't know if people are good with politics, but let's go through this a little bit, right? Joseph Kony hasn't even been seen in Uganda for the past 5 years. And he's been operating in other countries. Yet more emphasis is being laid on his operations in Uganda than Sudan, despite the fact that he's not currently operating in Sudan. What does Uganda have that Sudan doesn't have? Think about it. You still can't think? Okay, tell me, what do most countries that have recently been invaded by America and England tend to have in common? Apart from Muslims, which is also a very apt observation, but what natural resource do these countries have? Common, they have oil. Now, if over 30 years this man's been doing all these bad things, why is it that in the last 5 years when he's been completely inactive, why is it when recently oil has been discovered in Uganda, why is it then a priority to get American forces into Uganda? Now, if that isn't enough to make you think there's something wrong, analyze with me even further. Look into the company that's actually making these videos. Look into their financial records, which I've actually taken the liberty to look into myself. A very small percentage of what they are given actually goes to the children that they claim to be helping. The money they're giving actually goes to the Ugandan government and hence the Ugandan army. And if you didn't know this, I'm going to tell you this now. You can look it up for yourself. The Ugandan army also use child soldiers. A lot of the Ugandan army are ex-LRA people. So those children, that you want to save, what they do is they stop the child soldiers and then they give them a different uniform and say, hey, you're killing the wrong group of people. Go kill those people. So how exactly is that helping? Yeah, these people have already killed their own parents. They've already gone around killing people. You then stop them and give them a different uniform and have them go and continue indiscriminate violence. The Ugandan government has committed just as many crimes as Joseph Kony has, and if not even more. Uganda isn't even really a hellhole, at least not by international standards. It's not. Uganda has actually, got some stability to it. Why is it now that all of a sudden everybody has an interest in them now that they have oil? And at the same time, it's the same coincidence. Why is it that people started talking about invading Somalia when Somalia has just recently discovered uranium and oil? These coincidences are just too much. People talk about Joseph Kony as if he's some kind of dictator or leader. No, he's not. He's a guy in the bushes who's waging war very, very badly. What he's doing is wrong, but he's a guy in the bushes and his crimes do not measure up to the crimes of the people he's fighting. If you want to talk about the people who are doing wrong in Sudan, what about the Janjaweed? What about the tribes that are causing the problems in Sudan? If you want to talk about problems, talk about the big problems. In the grand scheme of things, all I'm trying to say is that Joseph Kony is irrelevant. The LRA right now probably number in the hundreds. He hasn't been seen in like 5 or 6 years. What do you think your money is going to? Your money is going to funding an army for a corrupt government. It's not going to help anybody. It's not going to do anything for anybody. You can call me a killjoy. You can hate me. But let me ask this. Why wasn't any key information given? Why is it that most of the people who've been posting all this Kony stuff don't even know that Kony hasn't been seen for so long? The irony is most of the people posting this video, they probably think Africa is a country. These are the kind of people I've seen posting. How many Ugandans have you actually seen posting on this issue? How many? Why is it that nobody's actually listening to what Ugandans have been saying, Ugandan journalists and Ugandan bloggers and whatnot? How many Ugandans do you actually see on the Kony hype? Very few. Most Ugandans I know are laughing at you guys for parting with your hard-earned money for this cause. And I think it's sad that any company would tug our heartstrings like that. 10 minutes into the video, they got me 10 minutes into the video until I realized, how come they're not giving any information on who this guy is fighting, when he started fighting, why he's fighting. They didn't give any information. If I walked up to you on the street and asked you for money without showing you proof, without giving you valid, strong information on what I'm doing, would you give me your hard-earned money? No. Why hasn't anybody gone to read? It's so easy to just copy, click, click and paste. But why don't we ever research things? Why is it that the moment an American says something behind the camera or an Englishman says something behind the camera, automatically we accept it as fact? If you watch the whole video, you listen to the rhetoric and the language used, and you compare it to the same sort of literature that was used in colonial times, it's almost the exact same thing. Africa is being recolonized as we speak. People keep on looking for different excuses to step on. If you really want to help Africa, stop sending soldiers into our countries and taking our resources. Stop coming and dropping bombs on people. Stop sponsoring wars. And the key thing that we see here is this. People think that it's really going to help. But let me ask you this. How many countries has foreign intervention actually helped on earth? How many? Did it help Iraq? Did it help Afghanistan? No, it didn't. These countries were much better off until these... Look, 11 years later, and we're still talking about whether or not soldiers should leave. They claim to be going in there to kill one person. One person led to the destruction of 3 different countries now, because they're in Pakistan now and they bomb Pakistan on a monthly basis. So if they couldn't even sort out these issues with bin Laden, who was supposedly the most dangerous man on earth, who supposedly had all these millions of ninjas all over the place blowing themselves up, how the hell are they going to stop this guy who hasn't been seen in 6 years, who lives in the bush? And also, isn't it convenient that everybody they're chasing after is somebody who's in a bush or is invisible and who may have died a long time ago? I mean, think about it. Doesn't this all sound a bit suspicious to you? What next? Dracula? I mean, seriously. Even when they do, for all we know, Kony is already dead. So instead of chasing Joseph Kony, don't you think it would be wise to chase after arms dealers who legally provide weapons for all these tyrants and for all these killers and all these warlords? And guess what countries these arms dealers tend to come from? If we really care about little brown children, then why aren't we trying the people who've killed the most little brown children? Why aren't we trying Blair? Why aren't we trying Bush? Why aren't we hunting for Netanyahu, Gordon Brown, and yes, Barack Obama? Why does everybody think change has come miraculously because a different color president has come into the United States of America when the same things are still going on? When will people learn? How much longer will we stand aside and watch these people look for excuses to take innocent life, all in the name of financial gain? Because that's all it is. Isn't it just convenient this company has all this merchandise ready for sale? Isn't it just convenient that this little company of just people trying so hard, look how many hits they got on YouTube straight away? You're telling me that wasn't back? If you look at the editing, everything there was done professionally to pull heartstrings. The cute little kid, the camera angles, the close-ups at the right time. A lot of the lines were fed to that little boy. I'm sorry, but this is no different from what Hitler did. And people say, yeah, how can you compare to Hitler? Propaganda-wise, it's exactly what he did. He rabble-roused his way around. And I think until people start realizing when we're being spoken to by a demagogue and smelling propaganda from a mile away, we will continue to be led into atrocity after atrocity after atrocity. If you look at the statistics, most of the people who spread this video initially were 13 to 22-year-olds. This information was, this campaign is supported by celebrities. I don't know about you, but I don't think that if I'm looking for solid political fact, Justin Bieber's Twitter is the place to find it. You know, it's very, very well aimed, and it's no coincidence that the kind of people who first saw these videos were not the kind of people who are likely to have African friends, or the kind of people to be knowledgeable on Africa, or the kind of people to even bother to research before doing anything. A lot of these people might not even be able to find Uganda on the map, and I'm not insulting them, I'm just stating the facts. If you are one of these people who actually went on to post this video, tell me, how many Ugandans have you spoken to? Have you been to Uganda? Do you know anybody from Uganda? Do you think you've acted wisely by spreading information without finding out what it's about first? Do you think that the journalism in this video, do you really think that it's neutral? Journalism should always be neutral and present both sides. and all information available. This was not the case with this video. Also, if you support this and you also support the military action that was taken in Libya, don't you think that's a contradiction? Because in Libya, was it not rebels that the United Nations and whatnot supported? Was it not rebels? Rebels are people who try to overthrow a government. That's exactly what Joseph Kony is. I don't say I agree with him. I'm not saying I like him. I'm just saying it's a contradiction. Because Gaddafi was a better ruler of his country than the current president of Uganda is. The only difference between the president of Uganda and Gaddafi is that Gaddafi did not like America. The Ugandan president currently can be used as a tool to America very easily. And it's becoming a regular theme now that who's a good guy and who's a bad guy on earth really just depends on how much these people support America. No amount of good editing can ever distort the truth. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not asking you to. In fact, I'd rather you didn't agree with me and you went and did some research on the issue and spoke to Ugandans. You are more than free to disagree with me. I'm not trying to brainwash anybody. I'm just saying, let's learn to be critical thinkers. From what I see, from the way this has been directed, I don't think it's genuine journalism. There are too many discrepancies with the facts. So I say this is just brilliant propaganda. This is a guy on a decent salary who's just doing his job and he's really good at it. And he knew exactly what buttons to push to get everybody moving. And this video is very blatantly backed because, you know, look how fast it spread. There are lots of more genuine campaigns all over the world, but they didn't spread that way. But this guy's a marketing genius. I'm not doubting that. So, yeah, what do I think he's doing? I think this is propaganda, and I think he's been paid to do it. The LRA have done lots of bad things. The Ugandan army have done lots of bad things. This company doesn't give most of the money it makes to the charity. They keep most of it for themselves, and they have all kinds of funny tactics they use to explain how all this money disappears, and what little money does go to them goes to corrupt and evil people. The fact is this: if we continue to be misled and deceived by all these demagogues, the real bad guys are going to continue to masturbate themselves in the corridors of power at our expense.